Your live video is going live soon. Did you know
Your
that?
live
As I press live myself.
is going live. Golly.
I just went live.
We're live.
We're live. We're on the clock.
We own the cloud.
Da-na-na, da-na-na.
I cannot wait to hear that noise.
I know. I'm excited.
April 28th.
Yep.
There we go. Let's get it done.
We're going live at.
And we'll get like 5 minutes to get everybody
Yeah.
kind of in here and stuff like that. We'll probably rock the first pick at 9:25. So
Yeah.
we'll.
Who could it be?
I have no idea.
Who could it be?
Couldn't tell you.
Remember those reports coming out a few weeks ago that said the Jags are looking at taking Walker with the #1 overall pick?
Really?
Which, I mean, that would be the most Jags thing to do.
No, most definitely.
I would not even be. I'd be like, it's the Jaguars.
that would be the thing to do for them. I could see it.
Yeah, they're starting to become like one of the new laughing stocks of the NFL.
Oh, I'm
and it's
supposed to
interesting.
ask you.
Yeah,
Who wrote no
Trent
on the
Baalke is
table?
the worst GM in the league.
I have no
hands
idea.
down. He's
Yeah.
horrible.
Luke is not happy.
And like, oh, we got one head coach who was probably overhyped and overdone and everything. Let's go ahead and get another one in Doug Peterson. Except he's not a cancer like fucking Urban Meyer is. I've been on the train of Urban Meyer sucks and is overrated.
Yep.
Like he's bailed on every major program he's ever worked for. So yeah, just not an Urban Meyer fan overall.
For sure.
But I don't know, boys. It's been settling down here a little bit. I feel like we're now detoxing from the wild, crazy 72-hour binge that was the start of NFL free agency.
Yep.
There's been a lot going on.
This is the craziest offseason
Hands down.
my
All
opinion,
time.
of all time. History of the NFL.
It's not even close.
There's never been this many superstar, big name players.
7 new
Franchise.
quarterbacks have homes. Franchise defense players have left their teams. Franchise
When
wide
you're-
receivers gone.
When you're looking at the history of the NFL, the only thing I think can compare, and this isn't even like it doesn't even compare because I think it truly passed this, but like when free agency first hit in 1994. And like you had the first like real NFL free agency, and you saw all these players getting crazy money. Like Reggie White goes from the Eagles to the Packers on the biggest defensive money contract of all time. At the time, it's like this offseason's even more nuts than that. Like we didn't have like a game breaking thing. This is just the year after the salary cap went down, and it finally went back up.
It's like a bunch. It's like having 32 of your friends playing one net franchise, and we're just like, let's shake things up, boys.
Seriously though.
What happened? Well, we were binge drinking out of Kelly's the other night. And,
Well, it's like
the
the-
boys decided to all
Bro.
go back home and just get on the group chat.
Well, like in our
start some
dynasty,
fuckery.
in our
Russell
dynasty
Wilson.
league, right? Yeah, in our dynasty league, that one night, the entire group chat just popped off, and everyone was sending those trades. You traded for Rodgers. You got Mike Evans from me. There's a lot of trades that night.
I got crucified by the whole
Dynasty
league.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yep.
And my team sucks, so I'm like in major rebuild mode. And then they're wondering why I'm making rebuild trades. Like,
Yeah.
because I didn't pay attention last year. I'm in a dynasty league. I got to shake shit up and.
Man,
you gotta work hard.
so I was in God, like if I could change any draft pick I've ever made to fantasy league, it would be last year. We had a startup super flex dynasty, and I had the 3rd overall pick, and I picked Christian McCaffrey over Josh Allen. That was in my defense, I was in Hill City, service was spotty, and I was drunk. But God, that is just the
fucking
dumbest draft
biggest
pick
kick in
I've
the
ever
dick.
fucking made. Like,
Oh, that's tough. I mean, that's
McCaffrey
tough.
he had one bad. He got hurt the previous year, but before that, he was putting up 30 points a game. So it was like, if
It's
I could
tough
have
to
that for
pass
4
up
years,
on.
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
He was
My
only
problem is
24 at the
running
time,
backs
so-
don't hang around these days.
I know.
Like,
He was only 24 at the time.
I
So he
know.
probably still had 3 or 4 years left in the tank, and I was
Yeah.
like, I'd rather have 4 years of McCaffrey than. At the time, Allen hadn't blown up yet either, so it was.
Well, I don't.
Yeah,
I wouldn't hold
yeah.
off on him. I mean, McCaffrey's still a great back. It's just, I mean, health is the issue, but also they run that offense through him. If he had a little bit of reprieve and
That's
was
the
actually.
thing, though, too. Yeah, the load management needs to
Yep.
come into play at some point because they're taking every little bit out of him.
That's why I liked Chuba going to them
Yeah,
last year.
no, that was a great pick.
Yeah, I
That
think
was a
for
great
him to
pick
kind
for
of
them.
balance out that load a little bit,
And
allow
he-
McCaffrey to
He kind
be
of
more of a weapon.
Yeah.
He shined when he could.
What's up, Siggy? Still coming down from that workout there?
Yeah.
If you guys don't know,
Talk to you, man. How do you feel about Matty Ice? Are you excited or what?
Now I am. At first I
Yeah.
wasn't.
No.
he was down bad.
Ice man.
Not Baker.
I was sold on
rather have Matt
Baker. I
Ryan
was sold on
than
Baker
Baker,
for a
so-
little bit.
You're one of those at-home commercials in the RCA Dome.
Right,
let's be honest, yeah.
right.
Or Lucas Oil, that's what it
It's
is.
the same colors as the Colts, blue and white.
Yep.
I love it. I'm ready for this goddamn championship game Monday night.
Oh yeah. Dude, like I said, it's poetic. It's poetic. I put this in our fantasy football. I'm like, imagine this as a Heels fan. Like you have the team from the beginning, but we just everything couldn't be brought together. And so at the end of the year, we bring it together a little bit. We beat Duke in their final home game at Cameron.
We have not looked back. We have not looked back ever since.
We mess up in the NCAA tournament to Virginia Tech, who was kind of on an upset heater too themselves. But yeah, after that, you look at the tournament, dude, we played better basketball than Duke. I had no problem picking us yesterday over Duke because we've just played better ball. Everything's come together at the right time. And then you have, not only do we end Coach K at home, but we just end his career. Like that, his last game is against UNC. Someone brought up the graphic this morning.
Are you guys both UNC fans?
All three of us are.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
But this morning, someone brought it up. His first professional loss, UNC. His last regular season loss, UNC. His final loss in his career, UNC. Like,
It's beautiful.
yeah. And as a wrestling fan, the ultimate heel move right there. Pun fully intended.
Oh yeah.
All right, boys, we're 2 minutes out.
All right.
Start this draft soon.
All right, let's do it. Let's put the clock on.
Al, you're not wrong.
Oh, where's Big Al at here?
He said Lane looks rough.
Lane looks rough. I
I'm
just think
fighting.
that's a daily thing.
Yes, it does. It
Yeah,
is.
but just like his hoodie with Lane, we put that shit on everything, all right? Sriracha.
I love that. This is that half and half hoodie. This is one of the coolest things they ever did. Yeah. Oh, hell.
All right, Lane. Well, who are we starting the first pick off? Am I eating the first pick here because we all kind of know who it is?
Yeah. Who could it be?
With the first pick of the 2022 Fishing Elephant Totally Fictional Mock Draft, Trent Baalke selects. I'm going to pick Aiden Hutchinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's not a very Trent Baalke thing to do.
I know. I did a
You
yoga
wanna take
class
Zion
and
Johnson?
I took some peyote before this, so we're feeling open and froggy to listening to people who make sense for once. So, with Aiden Hutchinson, we hope to turn around the franchise, and we hope that this new incoming guy from the Midwest doesn't kick our kickers. That's my analysis on the pick. Back to you, gentlemen.
All urban.
Jace, what do you think about Aiden Hutchinson? Let's just kick it off here. We'll kind of get some quick analysis, and then we'll roll to Siglin at number 2 here. But Jace, kind of what do you think about Hutch just overall as a prospect? We all kind of agree he's going 1, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's like debating Trevor Lawrence last year. You know, he's the undisputed number 1 pick in this draft, and he's just explosive. He's a beast. There's not a whole lot to touch on him. Yeah.
I think there's a lot to touch on him.
You know what? Yeah, just get someone to analyze all the players, just how they look on film. It says, yeah, as you can see, the blue and yellow combo really accentuates his hips as he's driving through that left tackle there. So yeah,
He's got the power. He's got the fundamentals. He's got the speed.
He's
got
a thick
everything.
boy.
He is. Yeah, he's the whole package.
Yes.
As I like to call myself sometimes. But,
all right,
yeah.
I feel you.
Siggy, you're
Full
awfully
happy
quiet
customer
over
fan.
there.
Yeah, you're quiet. Sir.
Yeah, what's up? What's up? Hang up and hang
What's
out.
up, what's up?
Boo-boo.
I'm trying to get this shirt before it gets sold out. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna fucking slap you.
Yeah.
Is what you're doing right now? You show up here late, and Jesus fucking Christ. All right,
Exactly what's happening.
you are on the clock next.
I know I'm taking. We're good. Kayvon Thibodeau.
He is just.
They were.
Is there any foreplay with you at all in life whatsoever? There's no 20
Stick it
second
right
pick.
in.
Just fucking.
Well, they were 20. They're 29th in rush defense last year. They had no one that got over 5 sacks on their team. They absolutely need a pass rusher and a disruptor, and you're not gonna waste a second-round pick on the quarterback talent that you have available this year. So I just feel like Kayvon Thibodeau is the safest pick and someone that Dan Campbell is gonna get the most out of.
Yeah, I think when you're talking, I'll kind of table this one first for Thibodeau. I can see multiple picks here. Thibodeau's definitely a possibility. I don't know if he's who I mock right now, but I think Thibodeau. We've talked about this. I think it's just it's effort. It's the willingness to play, and I can't blame him. You know, when you're projected the number 1 pick as a sophomore, then you have to still play a whole year, not getting paid while other people on your team do. Yeah, I can see where he would have had taken plays off this year. You have to think about yourself first. Well, as much as we want to be old school and grind out every play, do it for the Mick. It's not like that. It really isn't. You gotta think about your body and your future. So I think Thibodeau is a top 3-4 talent in this draft, and him going 2 works for me. How about you, Lane?
Yeah, no, I like it. He's all over the board, though. Anybody you talk to, I don't think you can necessarily, like, here's the absolute spot he's going to.
Oh, 100%.
I think he still has the potential to actually fall. Like we were just talking about earlier, Trayvon's picking up a ton of traction.
I think he has a bigger.
His bigger.
We'll call it
ceiling.
group for area. His floor is lower, but his ceiling is bigger than
extremely
Walker's,
high,
and
yeah.
that might scare some people, but it also might tickle a gambler.
No, exactly. Well, that's kind of the risk you take, obviously, in the hopes that it works out. So I do like the Thibodeau pick. I think, essentially wherever he does end up landing, I think you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with him.
I think it's Walker and Thibodeau. I think
They're
those are the two. It's like who's going to go first. I personally have Walker going first, but I think Thibodeau does seem to be the general consensus on who's higher. But I mean, the dude is a freak. You know, he's got that elite first step. There was a 2-game stretch last year in which he put in 19 pressures, and in 2 games, I mean, that's just you don't.
It's unheard of.
That kind of talent is
hard to come by.
Yeah, you can't coach that level of talent. So I like the pick. I think it's a solid pick, and I think most people have either Hamilton or Thibodeau going to the Lions, so I can't falter for that one.
Yeah.
All right, next on the clock, Lane with the 3rd pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. The Houston Texans select
Evan Neal,
Ooh,
offensive tackle out of
okay.
Alabama.
Okay, so you are a Neal over Icky guy.
Neal over Icky.
It's a hard debate. I'm
I
still
am-
having with myself.
I am too.
So where I'm at with the Neal, because
He made the pick. Give him his
I agree with
analysis. Give him his analysis.
I agree with him. I agree with him
I
fully.
love it.
I know. We'll
I
table
love
to
it.
you right after. But Lane, where are you at with your pick? Why do you
Obviously,
pick
I
Neal?
mean, they have draft capital, but in getting rid of Deshaun finally, you're not going to replace that type of talent at QB. It's tough to find. I think Mills, with what he showed last year, I think even just watching a couple of those games, like I was genuinely impressed.
He
with what I
played
saw
less
out of him.
games than Mac Jones and
It's
had
the
the exact
exact
same
same-
numbers.
No, exactly. And just some of those throws he made. Nico Collins was actually a really huge.
I think with
those two,
yeah.
those two are going to get
And
along
it's not
very
just because
well.
we have stock in them from the card
they're
angle.
they're ballers, okay? Go invest.
Yeah.
The
Buy
and
our
then
cards.
to I mean, just that just helps. I think they're all in on Mills. I think that just helps them give him a solid offensive line to help protect him and succeed. So
Yeah, I think you put him with Tunsil there, whoever
that's
they
what I'm
have
saying.
at quarterback, whether it's Mills or
that's
somebody
what I'm
else.
saying. You're gonna have Neal and Tunsil together.
So this is where I take it is Icky is a better balanced. So they're gonna want to try to get him somewhere that has both a quarterback and a running back. Evan O'Neal is heavy on the pass. He is a way better
Neal.
I fuck this
Neal.
up every time. Neal is a way better pass blocker than he is
He's
a
not
run,
Irish,
than
he's
a run
Southern.
blocker.
I thought it was Shaq.
Yes, that's how it comes out. I don't know how. He's about the same size. But so with that being said, I think he's going to be a stand-up pass blocker, and he's going to be exactly what Davis needs to help him thrive for the future, and that's what the organization needs to realize also. If they get Icky, it wouldn't be a bad move since they did just sign Marlon Mack, but Marlon Mack's a shifty guy. He really doesn't need much run blocking. They kick it to him on the outside, he's gone.
I think,
As a former fan.
yeah, Neal's. I think just when he showed up to the combine and everything though too, I think he's poised.
He
in my
kind of
opinion.
reminds you of like that Aaron Donald, like he's fit in his body.
Well, that's the thing with Neal too is
He's extremely athletic for a tackle.
his red flags are coachable. You know, his cons are coachable. It's footwork. It's just getting your hands in the right place. It's nothing physical needs to be added.
Play both left and right tackle.
Exactly.
just fine without-
Who wouldn't want that on the offensive line?
Yep.
Yeah, you have Laramie Tunsil. He's what
That's-
6'6", 670 or 6'7", you know, 340.
He's a dog.
You got 6'9", 350 on the other side. I think wherever Neal goes, he looks in this group here because I actually had him to the Jets,
Okay.
but he's pairing with a great left
yeah,
tackle.
yeah.
Either way, either Mekhi Becton or
I
Tunsil.
was
So
gonna say, if you had him and Becton too, that'd be fun.
I think that the Houston Texans would be lucky as shit to pick Evan O'Neal. Lucky the Irish there. Jace, why don't you go ahead and take us to the Big Apple with the 4th overall pick, the New York Jets select.
In my mock draft, I had Evan Neal fall into the Jets. So this kind of throws
Throws it off a little bit.
it off a little bit for me because I'm looking at the Jets and
So if you don't mind me asking, who'd you have the Texans taking then?
I had the Texans taking Trayvon Walker.
Trayvon?
Yep.
He had Trayvon jumping.
okay.
Yep.
Yep. Zach Wilson was pressured on 83.9% of his dropbacks last year. He had an average time of 2.7 seconds to throw the ball. That offensive line is disgusting, and they.
What
need
about the
to-
new additions? They got Lincoln Tomlinson.
That's true.
and they added someone else.
But they didn't add anybody at the tackle. I think they go tackle here. Is my it just depends on who you like and who's available.
And that's the thing.
In my opinion.
I think that had Neal fallen, I think that the Jets would have taken him here, but he didn't. I don't. This is a tough one. This is.
And that's what makes it tricky, though, too. And I think, especially in this draft, the pool's so big and there's just so much fucking talent. Are you either going to go with needs or just best player available? You know what I mean? I feel like every team's going to have to face that after like the 5th pick. So
you know what? At this point, I'm gonna call a little. I'm gonna go Kyle Hamilton. I think Kyle Hamilton.
I can see him.
If he gets down to that 4 spot, they're going to go best player.
There's also talks about him maybe even dropped to like 15, 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of talks of him dropping right now. I personally think that it's Sauce. You're going to call him applesauce.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I do have Sauce Gardner, ironically, going to the Jets, but at 10.
See, I think Sauce is going to go at 4th. Slay Solid figures out to use him just like how he rejuvenated Richard Sherman's career.
Yep.
And I think that's just going to be a scary thing to think about.
Well, you got to look at.
And in order to get Zach Wilson the ball, you're going to need to stop the other team more again, especially with all the firepower that the AFC East is adding to the receiving cores. You kind of need to add a guy that's going to help stop that.
But what I'm going to bring up is the same thing I brought up to our coworker yesterday. Is you got to look at the drop off in talent at the positions because Kyle Hamilton is up here, and
he's a head and shoulder above any other safety.
Exactly. The
head
difference between him and Scene, there's a much bigger gap there than the difference between Sauce Gardner and
McDuffie
or Stingley.
The Jets have the number 10 pick. They can still get a solid corner and get Kyle Hamilton at the number 4. So if you're looking at it that way, why take the best corner and then have to miss out on safety when you can have both? So I got Kyle Hamilton going here. I'll pass around to you guys for discussion while I work on the Giants.
I do like that. Well, like I was just saying, Hamilton's kind of one of those weird ones, but I think he's just so talented. He's, like we've just talked about, he's the number 1 hands down safety. Like it's not even close. But like I just mentioned earlier too, like are you going to take best position available or are you going to draft your needs? And I think that's the tricky thing with this draft pool. I think whoever actually, I almost took him with the Texans actually, just losing Justin Reed as well. They don't have anybody really in their DBs.
Well, and I think you look once again at the draft board, but we have such a unique draft. We have so many teams who double up in such a close range. I feel like usually you see like when the Raiders had 3 first-round picks, it was 4, 20, like 22 and 28. So like we had like a top 5, and then we had ended the first round. Here you got the Jets 4-10. You have the Giants 5-7. I mean, for fuck's sake, you have the Eagles 15, 16, and 19. Like they're all grouped together, so it's really hard to determine who's going to pick what because they literally come right back around on that merry-go-round right away.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be a fun draft, I think.
It is.
I think this is going to be an extremely fun draft.
So join us at Buffalo Wild Wings on draft night, as at least Jason and I will be there.
Yep.
Live streaming the draft.
We'll be watching.
So.
Oh, fuck. No, I think there's going to be a lot of kind of what the fucks that kind of happened that night.
Oh, there's going to be a lot. Party Room Beato's going to be going ape shit, all right?
Yeah.
Wild.
Well, we'll set up a camera. We'll stream you boys in, all right? Get the whole party. We'll zoom you in.
Yep.
All right, Jace, you are doubling back. You're staying in New York for the Giants.
Surprise, surprise, Trayvon Walker. So I'm going to send to the
Trayvon
Giants.
Walker.
They do need an edge rusher. They need help on the outside there. And you got a guy who at 272 pounds ran a 4.540. I mean, he is explosive. He's got that first step. And he has all the tools to make an immediate impact on the defense here. And defense is something the Giants do need to address in this draft because they've got a lot of problems. They do. There's a lot. I think they had a very good first step in getting Brian DeBoll. I think he's going to be a great head coach there. But I think Daniel Jones is a serviceable quarterback for now to get him through the next couple of years. I think offensive line is their biggest need. They've obviously got the highest paid receiving core in the league, but they need to address their defense now. And
Sorry, I needed that.
You're going up against the Cowboys twice a year. You're going up against Jalen Hurts and the Eagles.
You didn't say shit till while we're right here. I'm sorry. There's literally 2 other UNC fans. You couldn't say something.
Oh, I knew what he was ordering. I just let him be him at this point. So, anyways, continue, Jace.
So I think that they're going to address their defense because they're in a very It's not definitely not the best division in football, but it's always the closest race, it seems, every year. You never know who's going to win the NFC East. It's always down between the the Giants, the Cowboys, the Eagles. Washington sneaks in there. And so addressing the defense just so that they can go ahead.
No, after you.
Yep,
I'm taking after you.
done.
So the NFC East, what this reminds me of is it reminds me of a nightclub, and you have the end of the night, and there's that one girl there, and she's maybe a 6 or a 7. She's good, not top of the line, but definitely good for 2 a.m.
You hit one more shot before you go?
No, you have 4 guys in a group who all went out. They're all wearing Jacquard Noir, their shiny dress shirts in Vegas there. They got the chain on. A couple of them got one earring in. And all of these guys who are maybe a 3 or a 4 are trying to hit this 7. And that is what the NFC East is every single year. Every single year is just, it's like a bar closed for 17, 18 weeks of the season. And ESPN will cover it till they die. I hate this fucking division because of it, because I don't ever see the talent coming out of here. The Cowboys have been overhyped for 20 years, but that's my rant. Pick here, I love Trayvon Walker. He's probably been my second biggest riser next to, his homie Jordan Davis from Georgia.
Or Devonta.
Yeah, I would still say, I'd say all 3 of them are starting to get their due respect separately off of a national title legendary D-line.
Yep.
But I like
that's
Walker.
The type of that squad.
Yeah.
This year, Georgia might have a chance to break the Alabama of, 17 players in the whole draft.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could get like 21, maybe even 22.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia's deep. And so Walker, I think, once again, we talked about with Thibodeau, less risk, less reward, possibly. But I think at the end of the day, his baseline is a starting DN in any system. What's up? Yeah.
Do you want the 401k?
Yep.
I'll at least offer.
Yep. All right, so we have the Panthers on the clock here.
Yes.
It's to you, Boo Boo.
So Carolina Panthers.
Also, are we mocking that trade at 7 then? Because I threw it in.
Which one was it again? Was it for the
Yep.
Steelers? Okay.
Yep.
I actually do like that because I'm
Yep.
about to go pick.
So we're going to announce a trade after that one here. Before the Panthers pick, we are going to announce that the Steelers are going to go up to number 7. If that works for everybody approve?
Works.
Okay, so I did, because we're not drafting a second round, just to make it work in TDN, I did a 1-1 swap, so 7 for 20, and then a 2 going back 2. I do think realistically they maybe get another one, or at least multiple value picks, like a 2-3, 2-2, something like that.
I hate to say it, but I think if I hear that Pete has Mike offering up, Pete's going to jump and try to call too.
Well, we'll analyze the trade here in a minute. Let's do the Panthers pick first, and then we'll circle back around to that.
Yeah, no. So for this pick, number 6, the Carolina Panthers. I'm not huge on it, but I think they're going to go Kenny Pickett here. Out of Pitt. Pick it out of Pitt.
Pick it to the Panthers.
I think it's just kind of more or less a safer pick for the more immediate impact in a sense. Matt Rule is already kind of on the hot seat, obviously. So I think
I agree.
Yeah, he's got to fix it now.
No, exactly, and it can be built for success. So I actually do like.
So let's table this to you first. What do you think about this one here? Because I know you very opinionated on the quarterback market here. What do you think?
I feel like if anyone's taking a swing for the first shot, it should be Malik. And I also feel like the only way that a team is going to take one of these quarterbacks out of the top 10, because you're wasting a lot of draft capital if they end up sitting behind who you already have on your roster. It's kind of like the Trey Lance situation, but that one's kind of different because you knew what you were getting into.
Well, yeah, they still made the playoffs this year.
Well, I think Trey Lance was a panic attack. Honestly, if we're going to be honest here, I think John Lynch traded up to the 3rd pick when they really honestly didn't need to, especially when you look at how that team played out this year.
Well, have you
really
seen the
believed in
interview
Lance.
where it's like Kyle Shanahan called me and was like, I'm in love with this kid. Watch his tape, this, that, and the other. We need to do everything we can to get him. And then it's like, that's just kind of like just shoots down the confidence of the other guy, but it forced him to go ball out this year. So it honestly helped him more than it didn't.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy G, he still backs up this year. I think they go to Lance starting, but I think he backs up.
That kind of draft capital you got to give.
I know.
Even if he fails, you have to go down with that ship at that point.
I know Sam Darnold isn't the answer, and I was like reading up on this stuff about like how Matt Rule tried to recruit Baker Mayfield coming out of high school. So I could honestly see, like, if somehow it comes out where the Browns are willing to give up like a 4th-round pick, take a little bit of Baker's contract, and send him off, I could see the Panthers being the one willing to take that.
Yeah.
So with
at
that,
this point, they're going to eat it though. The Browns going to eat that shit.
Real quick question, just so that we don't take a pick away from Siglin, because it kind of seemed like this was a group consensus pick. Do we want to do that consensus pick for the Steelers and then give Siglin the Falcons and pick it up from there?
Yeah.
I do like
Yeah, we
that.
can. Yep.
'Cause, I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
say you know who Steelers are trading up for.
All right, then I get 3 picks since first one,
He's
consensus pick. That's it. I'm picking for both of the
Out
Chiefs
of
picks. I'm
curiosity,
calling
so
it now.
Because
Yeah.
technically, Sig, this would have been your
Yep.
pick, and we kind of took that away from you by making a group consensus trade.
That's what you get for being late, bitch.
It's all right. You already told me you had it mocked anyway, but I still feel like if there's rumbling, I think Pete's calling because the only reason why Pete made the Russell Wilson trade is to get Malik Willis. It was
How do you know that?
I will say,
after-
hold on.
literally after his pro day.
Yes.
An hour and a half later, the trade goes live.
All right, we are on a table for analysis here, but here's where my controversial thing is, and I counter that one, and I think this works for ours. I think in the universe you have Trayvon Walker get selected. I think Kenny Pickett gets picked while the trade is happening. They don't have any knowledge of this from the Steelers' perspective, but I think the Steelers call once Trayvon goes to the Giants. Now, in my personal mock draft, the way this is going down, I would have had that pick honestly be icky because of his fall and their need at offensive tackle, but I can respect Pickett. In this situation, I think that trade, regardless, still happens. And honestly, I think here it's Malik. It has to go quarterback at this point, and it is Malik. I think Pete loves, but I think Pete is comfortable at 9, and I don't think Pete wants to move up, and I think Tomlin will be more aggressive to move up and sweep right in front of him.
In my opinion, too. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to
you're
interrupt you.
Say for every picture you see Malik Willis at his pro day, Tomlin's in the background looking like a kid on Christmas, and he took him out to dinner after his pro day. Like he is gushing over Malik Willis. And
Mike Tomlin's ready to have a black quarterback. He's tired of having Ben Roethlisberger. He wants a
brought in
quarterback with some
Dwayne
fucking
Haskins didn't
swagger.
work
Okay?
out.
Brought in Flores, like
You did not just tell me that Dwayne Haskins relates to Malik Willis.
I
as
just
far
said
as
Dwayne
just
Haskins
pure
didn't work out.
swagger.
Like he tried it.
fuck was I gonna say?
Yeah, I mean, not for lack of trying. He's brought the boys in, all right. But I would love to see Malik go to Tomlin. I think Tomlin deserves to have a quarterback that has some success. I don't like Ben. I know he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, but I love me some Mike Tomlin. So
What I was gonna mention was I think Pittsburgh's actually built to make a run. So I think that's why it makes more sense for them to take Malik. As opposed to,
And I personally think with behind the offensive line in Seattle, if Malik goes there, he's going to his career's done.
well, that's
not
not
necessarily done.
done,
He's
but
going to have.
I think in for his, I guess, really in all reality, either quarterback that gets drafted, where Pittsburgh's, in my opinion, a better organization right now for them to go and
Yep.
succeed. Yeah,
Oh.
Seattle's a shit show, dude.
I think you have these.
Seattle's a shit show.
You have a couple organizations right now that are on the cusp.
Yeah.
The Colts, the Raiders, the Broncos, the Steelers. They're on this. The Chargers I'd even put there too. They're on the
Yeah,
cusp
'cause
of just being good. Several teams, quarterback, playmaking wide receiver. We solved our shit. You know what I mean? And I think the Steelers solved their shit here. They need a quarterback. You got Najee Harris. That receiving room is deep, and it always has been. Whoever their receivers coach is, with Tomlin, the boy knows what he's fucking
Well, the
doing
thing
because
is-
time after time after time, they're turning out prospects. Antonio Brown, Martavius Bryant, Juju Smith-Schuster, Emmanuel
Johnson,
Sanders,
Chase
Deontay
Claypool.
Johnson.
Yeah,
How often do we just see receivers come out and maybe we just start trusting the Pittsburgh Steelers with receivers, especially in a draft like this where they can snag one in round 2 or 3?
Side fantasy advice: start whoever the Steelers draft at wide receiver in the second or third
I
round,
still got
snag
Chase.
them in dynasty.
Still got Chase
they're-
Claypool.
Already looking
and
at
they
it.
got Claypool.
Oh yeah. The another thing I was going to mention too is with the Bengals and the Ravens, and now the Browns getting Deshaun. Like, these guys need to make a move if they're going to compete. Because
Absolutely.
Pittsburgh is,
That's
in all
the
reality,
point I was bringing. Yep.
they're in a position now where they might be fighting for fourth.
You got Deshaun Watson, you got Lamar Jackson,
and
you
Joey
got
Burrow.
Joe Burrow. You gotta
Young,
have,
25 and under. Like,
yeah, you gotta have a stud at behind center to compete.
So
in the
Pittsburgh
divisions.
knows too. They got, like I said, their team's built for a run, in my opinion. So I think if they make the splash, it's got to be, it's got to be there.
Oh, it has to be. Yeah.
Sig, that wraps the Falcons around you, buddy. What are you thinking? Number 8,
Shocker, Traylon Burks.
Traylon Burks. All right.
All right. Give us the analysis of this Siggy boy.
I still have him
Get up
ranked
in
as
them
my number
guts.
1 receiver. He is the most versatile receiver in the draft class. He's kind of almost like that Debo, that wide back position. You can hit him on the reverses. He's got that breakaway speed on slants. He may not have the quick burst speed for the 40 time, but that doesn't change his game speed. His game speed is
I was
different.
about to say, you see him on tape. He's a 4.4. Like
He's
here's the
gone.
thing. Here's the thing. Guys who are 4.4 in underwear are oftentimes 4.5, 4.6 in pads. Traylon Burks is 4.5 in pads and tank top and shorts. Like Traylon Burks, he's a big motherfucker.
He moves.
He's got
Like
the
I watched.
combination of size and speed that nobody else in this class has.
Nobody. I mean, I'd put him on top with like Not quite the combine numbers, but Calvin Johnson-esque.
Yeah.
0.5 or 0.75.
Yeah, he's like 2 inches below that, but yeah, he's a monster. I guess if you were to say like the biggest body, we gotta be honest, it's Drake London. But
That's actually
We're-
why I had mocked it.
where
Yeah.
Traylon Burke, Traylon
Yeah.
Burks is a monster, and I think Arthur Smith is kind of a genius. He was doing what he was doing with AJ Brown and using him, so I think he kind of will see him as like an AJ Brown 2.0
Yep.
to bring in there to do some nice crossing
It's a good
routes,
pick. I didn't think
get
about
off of
that.
Kyle Pitts, and now with the resurgence of Marcus Mariota, he's definitely going to need a target.
For sure.
Yeah, Loki. Shout out to the boy. I hope Marcus does all the great things.
I do too.
He handled his time in Vegas the way I've never seen a backup quarterback just have the poise of someone who should have been a starter
Dog
somewhere.
fan.
He went to Vegas. He backed up Derek Carr. He shut down any quarterback controversy because there never was one. And he was the ultimate teammate from everything I saw from a Raiders fan. So, like I said, Marcus has made a fan out of me. I hope he could go to the fucking Broncos, and I'd wish him success,
Yeah, for
honestly,
sure.
except for 2 games a year. And then,
Except for.
but Lane, what is yours on Burks here? You know, I just kind of want to give you some time on the mic for this. What do you think about Burks? Before I'll table it off on this and move
No,
on.
you're good. I think he's, in my opinion, probably in the long haul going to be the best wideout to come out of this draft. He was the sole reason Arkansas almost beat Alabama last year, and like that speaks volumes. in my
Against
opinion.
that defense.
That's what I'm saying. Like his talent is second to none, and bigger body, can move extremely quick. So they're clearly missing Julio. They have Kyle Pitts, but if you can pair him with someone like that, I think that'd be.
Well, and
nasty
Ridley
as
just
well.
put him in such a hard position.
No, exactly.
And I don't think it's fair either what happened to Ridley. I also
was
sit
about
on
to
here for
bring
Pete
up how
Rose, too.
bullshit that is.
Pete Rose belongs in the Hall
Oh,
of
that's
Fame.
one thing I've tried
Yeah,
telling people too.
yeah.
Is like it's
I don't.
baseball is much worse. Like people can't get in the Hall of Fame
Here's the
because of
deal. I believe in paying for your actions, so I believe in the suspension. I
Yeah.
don't believe it should be a year, and I also believe that you give a person an opportunity to redeem themselves.
Yeah.
I think Mike Vick redeemed himself from the dogfighting thing. Whether you want to say that or not, whether I'm hot taking that, I think for him to turn around, whether it was a publicity thing, what he has done for like the Humane Society and what he's done for animals since then, and how he's learned from his mistakes, and I think that's just the human experience. Let them learn. Let
I
them
don't
learn.
know if you guys listened to Pardon My Take or not, but PFT had a great idea. He said every NFL player should be forced to bet 10% of their game checks on themselves to force them to play harder.
That's funny.
Yeah, put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
You're right, literally.
All right.
That's funny.
So yeah, no, I was about to bring up the Calvin Ridley thing. This is what frustrates me is you have Roethlisberger who had rape allegations and he only got suspended for 6
get a few.
games, but
No.
Calvin Ridley
That was
$1,500
that was
and
one
he's-
thing that absolutely
like,
pissed me off.
where do you
Actually.
It's not even real
fucking
betting. It's
line.
FanDuel. Like it's
Yeah.
like not like the homie's going to Vegas, in a hoodie and sunglasses,
Slaps
like
100
putting
grand
bets.
down.
No, dude is at home playing FanDuel lineups. What we do all the fucking time. In my opinion, that's not gambling. Like
Yeah.
that's not, it's
They-
not real
when they're
gambling.
when they're treating
I read it was
gambling
8
harder
parlays.
than sexual assault, then that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
what pisses me off.
One thing really
He
irks
should
me
be
is the
suspended 4 games and
Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger, the fact that it wasn't just 1 year, like it was years, it was off seasons, back to
Yeah.
back to back coming out, and I'm like, well, we're
A
just gonna
serial
sweep
thing.
it
It
under
was
the-
showing like that's the problem is when you show serial behavior. Like Deshaun Watson, is it creepy that he did that in a massage once or twice? No. Is it creepy that he allegedly did it 23 different times? Fuck yeah, it is.
Yeah.
He deserves a suspension for that. Kicked out of the league? No. He's not a fucking murderer. He's not
Well,
a,
and
he's
that's-
not a child predator, but he is a sex offender and he should fucking have some punishment on that. I think.
Agreed.
Yep.
Don't
Yeah.
try and completely blow it out
Yeah.
of proportion.
Just appropriate punishments is
Yeah,
all
for
we
sure.
need to do. Like don't sit here and cancel these people, but knock them down a fucking couple pegs.
no,
Speaking of getting knocked down a couple pigs, the Seahawks are looking
Yep.
pretty rough.
I was about to say I was just waiting.
Yeah.
I was waiting. I was gonna put us on the
Bridge?
clock here. Yeah, I was gonna bridge, but yeah.
Hey, that was a good
Right,
bridge right there.
right.
All right.
so so we got rid of Russ. So that's it's an interesting thing here.
Jesus fucking
So I think with our 9th pick here, I really like this kid. I can't believe he fell to us. I'm gonna go with Icky.
Yep, that's where I had
Yep.
Icky going to. Let's see.
So that's my best Pete Curl
They're gonna
impersonation
roll,
there.
They're
Yeah.
gonna roll with Drew Lock or maybe get Baker Mayfield.
I think honestly, Drew Lock. DK
Yep.
came out 2 days after the trade. He said, "Y'all need to chill the fuck out about that Drew Lock slander."
Yep.
Big arm. You have not only DK but Ty Lockett there. You have
And
you have
don't-
Ty Lockett there. Just protect the motherfucker
name
and
one
see what
quarterback
happens.
That's gonna thrive underneath Vic Fangio and his shitty.
Yeah.
He
It wasn't
he was
built for
Yeah.
success.
horrible. horrible coaching staff.
He's better off rapping G-Eazy in Seattle than Denver.
Well, that's one
Or
thing.
not G-Eazy, Young Jeezy.
That's
Sorry.
no, that's going to be huge for him.
Mac-
One thing I was going to mention
Macklemore.
earlier with Daniel
Macklemore
Jones,
too.
though, with the Giants getting Dayball or whatever,
Mhm.
that offensive coordinator is their head coach now. I think we're going to now see. I think Jones actually takes that kind of next step.
That's why it happened.
Oh
Jo-
no,
the
that
Gi-
was the perfect hiring. For
There's a
them.
new terminology in sports going to be used the next 10 years. It's called the Josh Allen leap. The 1, 2, 3 leap that he did from year 1 to year 2 to year 3. People are going to chase that forever. You're going to see a lot of these big-bodied quarterbacks like Kenny Pickett, guys who are athletic and big, and Danny Jones get this treatment. It's called the Josh Allen leap now, and that's the term for it, and that's what the Giants are now next to do with the guy who probably had the most instrumental part besides, obviously, Mr. Allen himself.
Yep.
Coach Dabbs, I think.
Yep.
That's why I honestly I think the Giants are fine Pat trading out of that and just kind of building around Danny and seeing what they can really do
And they
now that
moved-
Joe Judge is gone.
And they only moved down to 20. It's not like they're
Yeah,
they
Judge
still got. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They still
Seattle
cap.
Seahawks taking Icky. I think we all. I
Agreed.
love that
No,
pick.
I like
That's
that
where I
pick.
had him going too. So.
And
It's
he-
a steal if it absolutely happens.
Hold
but
on,
I don't see that happening for the life of me.
Just remember, I'm draking up in this bitch. I am back to back on this snake. All right. Ooh, yeah. But you know what I love me for breakfast, boys? You know what I really love? Some motherfucking applesauce. All right.
Yep.
I am drafting Sauce Gardner to the big city, to the New York
finally,
Jets.
back to back, Jason.
It's my favorite nickname, and I think they have to go corner either at 4, but most.
I'm
going to
throw this out there. Sorry to budge in. Eli Apple got referred to as applesauce after the Super Bowl,
Yep.
so I feel like
Yeah, but Gardner's better.
Yeah, but Gardner's name is Sauce.
Eli
in the
Apple
Big Apple,
allowed the last touchdown
applesauce.
in the Super Bowl.
applesauce has been used. Is all
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Trump was
Yeah.
president the last time Sauce allowed a touchdown.
They
That was
said
back in
Apple
high school.
got sauce. This would be
Yeah.
more of a
Listen,
different
listen,
sauce.
listen. I can understand the Eli Apple hype train. Okay, he's a villain on Twitter. He's just like me. He's a bad guy. But Sauce Gardner's the best. Okay, he hasn't allowed a touchdown since I was still facing impeachment charges. Okay, that's where we're at.
That's where we're
No, I
at.
love it.
I love it.
I love the sauce pick. I think that's great. That's where I had him going too. He's just on another level. Last year he allowed 131 yards in 14 games. Like that's dude's just.
I don't think people get how stupid good he is.
And you got Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs. You got to face twice a year. Like you need a big.
Down corner.
Don't forget about Devontae Parker in
Hopefully
New England
we
now.
can get Jarrell Revis 2.0 going.
What do you think? All right, Sig, let's just table you here because you are obviously a fan of applesauce. You came to me with that nickname, and yeah, what do you think here, buddy?
I mean, I think either way, he's got to go in the top 5. His combine number speaks for itself. The tape speaks for itself.
I love Sauce. I just don't see him going in the top.
He's
five.
not a. Top
I don't think
5
anybody's a
class.
lock besides Hutchinson. Honestly, I could see Thibodeau dropping. I
But
could
I
see
could-
Neal. I could see Icky. Any one
Yeah.
of these picks
I
can
don't
drop out of the
see
top
him.
5.
He's a hell of a player, but he's, in my opinion, he's not a top 5 lock.
Because we were kind of talking about this earlier when I took Kyle Hamilton with the Jets at 4, and I said they can get somebody like Stingley or McDuffie, and they ended up
Yeah.
getting Sauce.
Well, think about it. Carolina could jump up and be like, we reached on J.C. Horn last year, and look at how well that worked out for us. What if we team him up with another young
was
one
working
and they
fine
have
until
the
he got hurt.
nastiest tandem for 3 years that you're gonna see?
But I mean, I just don't see the Panthers doing that. A, because of the jump, and B, once again, talent drop off. When we are talking about drafts for receivers, I started banging on the table saying this is one of the most wide receiver talented draft classes I've seen.
Ever.
And I stand by that, but I now double down on that statement, and I'm going to say that for cornerbacks too. You have someone like Cam Taylor-Britt from Nebraska that I know pretty damn well, who's a 3rd, 4th round prospect. Any other draft class, he's a round 2er. Like, I'm just saying, like, I have round 2 like average grades on 4th round cornerbacks. Like, yeah.
Just as a whole is extremely talented.
So that's where I see Sauce and the corners starting to fall, but I think now here we're going to see in the meat of this draft, you'll see more corners go.
For sure.
All right, Sig,
Time
to
take
the,
command of this
yeah, yeah, come
pick.
on, Siglin.
Well, he's not
Jesus
available anymore,
Christ.
so.
Oh, fuck, you're going to make me commander.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all right,
Probably
Conley.
Jermaine Johnson out of Florida.
Woo! I don't see it as a too far of a stretch, honestly.
Jermaine Johnson to Washington.
I question the
that-
pick because their one strength is line.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Chase Young, Montez Sweat. You want to redo that? And I'll just
Yeah,
redo this draft?
Stingley.
Okay, I have to now redo
They
this
need a
draft.
center.
Hold on. Okay, give me someone else.
He's not a center.
Cornerback.
What are you fucking doing over there?
Reading stuff.
I
live in the
brain-
moment with
I
us,
love
Boo Boo.
Stingley. I think he's a stud of a corner.
The last 3 days I've had like 12
I
hours
think
of
he
sleep.
falls
This is
to
not
them.
good for
I
me.
just don't see them taking a
I-
non-wide receiver here.
That's what I was just gonna say. Drake London's on the board
Yeah.
still.
Okay, are we team overruling Siglin?
No, Siglin had the pick.
You do you, but
They
I'm
make
just
the
saying
pick.
that
Yep.
So who are we putting inside?
I think they have one of the most underrated receiving cores in the league.
that's
They have
what.
Terry McLaurin and who else?
Curtis Samuels,
Samuel.
Diami
Played
Brown.
two
That's
games
what I'm
here.
saying. Like,
I mean,
let's check
Diami
numbers.
Brown's
Let's
season-
check
But
actual numbers.
the only
not just
thing,
potential.
Curtis
you know what?
Samuels was also injured though,
Okay,
so
let
he's
me
gonna come
play devil's
back.
advocate to you guys here. I'm gonna take Siglin's side, but let me explain where I'm on his side here.
Okay.
Curtis Samuel, they paid money to.
Yep.
Curtis Samuel was productive every year of his career except for the year that he was hurt last year. So do you give up on him right away, or Ron Rivera, who has attachment to him, being the guy who drafted him in Carolina? Do you maybe, in a receiver-heavy class
Yep.
at 11? I'm not sold on them. I think they do go wide receiver, but to defend him a little bit here, I'm far from sold
I'm
on
not
receiver.
saying
yeah.
it's an improbability. I think it's
They're just
totally possible that it can
far
happen.
from
But
deep
I
there.
don't think it's about giving up on Curtis Samuel as it is putting the strongest core they can around Carson Wentz, because they just gave up draft capital to get him. They're getting
Stupid.
mocked for
Their
for
defense.
Yeah.
trading for him.
They know what their
And
defense can do.
the only way they're not going to look stupid is if they completely surround him with talent, and that talent carries him. You know,
In my mock, this is actually where I have Kyle Hamilton falling to. They need someone to replace Landon Collins. Safety is their second biggest need, and if they're able to get him, that's the best
I
player.
would say if
available.
they do go defense, if Hamilton's still
if
there, I can see
Hamilton's
that.
there, absolutely.
But I mean, you have Terry.
That's what I'm
McLaurin,
saying,
Curtis
where
Samuel,
Mark
you
who's
got Derek Stingley, those who you're taking for sure.
That's who's
name
on the board
another.
at the moment.
My thing is
Okay.
though, just they're not.
'Cause I can't
They're
undo
not
this when I
deep
click
at
this
all
back
at wide
into it.
receiver.
I was about to say, because I'm redoing mine right now.
Wait,
I'm
what?
liking this
They're
whole
not
thing.
deep at all at wide receiver.
I think Diami Brown is heavily underrated.
That's two wide receivers. If Curtis,
Diami Brown's your speed slot.
that's what I'm
guy.
saying.
He's-
Like they
you
don't
know,
have an actual big
and
body.
so is Curtis Samuel. Actually, they have two speedy.
They don't.
slot
That's what I'm
guys. They
saying.
don't got the
Drake,
big body
in
on
my
the
opinion,
outside,
Drake
yeah.
London would be a hell of a
Yeah.
pick here.
But,
Anyways,
so Derek Stingley, give us your take on Stingley and why he fits in Washington.
So he's the second best man-to-man corner. He's the third best
Shame.
corner overall.
Sorry, I just wanted to add into that too, but continue.
So with that being said, there's not much receiver talent over there to guard besides Galladay and CD. Now that Amari's shipped out, you really don't have to
they're
worry
playing
about.
more than 3 teams.
You don't have to. No, I'm saying division-wise though. Like
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
matters the
for
most.
sure.
That's what you stack up for. It's just like right now we're stacking up to take down Henry. So
No, you got to worry about the Jags.
Oh, booed Nate Atherton, by
Father
the way.
Time is the biggest defensive.
where stuff
lineman
goes,
this
I just think that their biggest need is defense. They had,
Yep.
I believe, there was 27th against the pass last year, and they were like 20 or 18th against the rush. So the pass defense is obviously what needs to be fixed. And if you're able to get Stingley to put out the kind of production he had his freshman season, you got a real guy.
Yep, for sure.
Well, and I think it's so hard to judge Washington because next to the Ravens, I don't think another team was snake bitten by injuries so much. I mean, they lost Chase Young, Montez Sweat was out for a good bit, De'Aaron Payne, and Jonathan Allen were both spent time on the injured list too. So it's hard with that too because you just signed like William Jackson, Kendall Fuller,
Kendall
or
Wilson?
like they've made investments at corner, they made investments at receiver. I think they're a wild card here. They could really go anywhere. So we got Stingley going off the board. I think that makes it interesting from here where we go.
Because
So
this next pick, I think that would have been Stingley should be going to Minnesota, in my opinion.
I think McDuffie goes to Minnesota.
Well, no shit. Now he does.
with you, yeah. So is that your pick, McDuffie
I
to
mean, that's-
Minnesota? Yep. Minnesota needs a corner, even with Peterson coming back.
Yeah, no, that's
Wild card.
Yeah, no, McDuffie. I like McDuffie to Minnesota. I had Stingley going to Minnesota as well, but McDuffie, he's a stud. He's probably the best zone corner in the class. He only allowed 111 yards on 702 snaps last year, and kid's a stud.
Yeah, no, he's a baller.
Yep.
Washington's been reducing cornerbacks, DBs over these last 5 drafts.
I mean, either way, someone who wears purple as a color in college is going to be wearing purple in the NFL too. So, yep.
It'd be cool to see
I like
him and
McDuffie.
Stingley and Jefferson together.
I think McDuffie you have better tape on. I think Stingley's the more interesting
Well, that's-
prospect as far as
It's like Jamar,
Yep, exactly. Like
taking the time away.
it's not so much time away though. I think time away would have done if Stingley would
In
have just
a
sat out
sense.
the last 2 years. I still think he gets drafted where he does. I think the
That's
tape and
just
the
so-
injuries
So
is
crazy to me, though, man. Yeah, just
Yep.
still being a top prospect throughout it all.
Well,
yeah.
This is very bizarre because I had McDuffie going to the Texans and I had Stingley going
this
to.
is completely.
So everything's kind of shifting upwards from where I had the draft fall, and it's very. Actually, what's funny enough is
I don't do well with change.
our last 4 picks are 4 of the 5 picks that I had in my mock draft as well, as far as the order goes. Just with the wide receiver
fashion.
of Washington causing Stingley and McDuffie to fall 2 more spots. But so wrapping around to the Texans, I had McDuffie going to them originally in my mock, but now I have to laugh because PFF they give you a positional need at every team to help kind of
guide you in the right direction.
Draft. And I've been doing this for a few years now, and
It says
I've never seen a team that says needs
every
everything.
position, everything.
They
Just
need
shaded the
everything.
Texans so
Literally.
fucking hard in PFF.
So,
Needs? Yes.
Lane gave Evan Neal to the Texans. So
Yeah.
they got their offensive line. They've already came out and said Davis Mills is going to be their quarterback. They're going to try to build a team around him. So you got your offensive line.
They got Nico Collins, and they still
Patched
Brandon
up a
Cooks,
little
right?
Yeah, they
got
still have Brandon
Brandon
Cooks.
Cooks. Like they have Loki have a little bit of
They got-
wide receiver core. Yeah.
Yep, they do. But I think now they're going to add one more
One more
body
touch,
to help. And I think that Drake London, at this point, I'm going to send Drake London to the Texans.
I love it.
I think that
I do like
there's
it.
your big body outside wide
Don't
receiver.
fucking give that look. You just drafted.
That's what I have mocked.
Okay, I was gonna
Oh, is
say.
that what you
Don't
have mocked
fucking
too?
don't
Okay.
give that fucking look.
So,
I mean, if it wouldn't have gotten taken, that wasn't going to happen. In my mock, Stingley goes to Baltimore.
I think they could use corner help too, but yeah, I think
Drake, Drake's he's your big body, he's your outside wide receiver, and he's a beast in contested catches. He finished last season. He led college in contested catches at 19. Racked up 88 catches at 1,000 yards. I think he broke his ankle though at some point, right?
dude, he was on a
Or was
legendary pace. He was on a
Yeah.
legendary pace.
Yeah,
I think
he
he had
was-
like 900 yards, like 7 games, and
88,
then
88 catches for a little over
Yeah.
1,000 yards. Yep.
yeah, I mean he would have put up a stupid season. I think he would have been undoubtedly the wide receiver 1.
Yeah. for sure.
In this class had he not gotten hurt. I think at that point you now have the talk of someone like a Treylon Burks or even a team who prefers more of a shifty guy, maybe Garrett Wilson, or someone who really loved Chris Olave at the combine now jumps London, but I think London's pretty firmly everybody's wide receiver 1, 2, or 3
Yep.
minimum. You kind of see him hang around that. Personally, I had him as my wide receiver 1. Honestly, he recently just kind of deeper dive I did. I think he jumped Garrett Wilson just because the only thing he's lacking is end line speed, and I think we've seen a lot of those guys who get critiqued and they drop because of their quote unquote end line speed, but they have everything else turn out to be just fine. Yep, just fine. So London's my wide receiver 1, and I support this pick. Him next to Brandon Cooks
And
with
Nico-
and Nico
like,
Collins. That's
Low key.
throw Cooks in the slot. Let them boys work outside.
And then Brevin Jordan was popping off at the end of the season, too.
Miami tight ends run
Pretty-
deep, bro.
I'm pretty
Miami
sure-
tight ends run deep.
Pretty sure Brandon Cooks still had 1,000 yards last year.
He did.
That's what
Yep.
I thought.
Yeah, I had him in fantasy, and he actually won me a league. Helped win me.
I was
a
actually
league,
generally
so,
impressed
yeah.
by his production, still considering.
He's produced wherever he's went. Like they throw him around like he's
So
nothing.
crazy to think
Like old
New England
newspaper,
had
but
him,
dude,
bro.
he's produced in New England, L.A., New Orleans,
Orleans.
and Houston now.
Yeah.
Like at what point do we just start respecting Brandon Cooks?
No, I've always been a fan.
So all right, you are doubling down. Go to Baltimore, Jace.
I'm actually still looking at a couple things. If you guys
Good,
have
I'm gonna
any
go grab a
additional
drink.
input you want to put in,
I know
in
where I
between
would
a couple
go here.
people. I think I know where
I
I'm
know
going
where I
with
would go
this.
here.
Who are you thinking? Who is it?
It's for the Ravens.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I'm
the per layer that I want would be gone. So
I'd be going Jordan Davis. It's tricky though because there's a lot of different positions that you can kind of attack with for Baltimore.
Johnson the way our board's falling.
Yeah.
Johnson's already been taken, didn't he?
Jermaine.
I
Yeah,
thought-
Jermaine. No,
No,
no.
Saquon
No,
why did
'cause
that
he-
pick?
Yeah,
Yep. Oh yeah.
Saquon.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Easy enough because I had Johnson going. It was like fuck.
They've just lost so much capital,
Yeah.
and then trying to go get Zadarius, and then whiffing on that contract after
Never
Vaughn
mind.
signed his.
Yeah.
Sorry, boys. That just made my pick a lot easier because I was like, fuck. Now that Johnson's gone, who do I have going to?
Yep, Jermaine.
Yep. So in my own personal mock, I had Jermaine Johnson going to the Ravens. Sorry, I'm just.
No, you're
Easy
good,
enough,
brother.
yeah.
More. Damn, I kind of want to play Madden now.
I know.
Yeah, what do you think I'm doing after this? Y'all are hitting the cages. I'm like, I ain't doing shit after this.
Yeah, I gotta go golfing
Yeah,
still
no,
too.
Johnson's a beast. The Ravens, their identity, right now they're a powerhouse offense, but their identity.
Yeah, I
has
think
always been on the
their
defensive side of the
offense has
ball.
been figured out. Yeah, they know what they're working
Harbaugh
with.
is great at coaching defensive players, and I love Jermaine Johnson. Last year, he took the 10th most snaps of any edge in the country, and he put up 14 sacks and 9 tackles for a loss. So he's
We did see Baltimore kind of make that
he's a
transition.
beast of an
where they
edge
were-
rusher, and I think that he I think I'll make a mark in Baltimore.
I was about to say I'll grab on the table this year. I think here's my first take on this. The Ravens, if they are not historically snake bitten by the injury bug, and I mean historically,
Last year was
historically, how do you lose your first 2 running backs before the season even starts? Thank God you have Lamar
Cornerbacks,
Jackson there to supplement that running threat. But I mean, this team was built a certain way, and then you had that build, 40% of it fly out the door with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins taking their ACLs with them. I think now that they're healthy, I think you're going to see a team that last year, unpopular take here from me, but the Raiders don't make the playoffs if the Ravens are healthy. We beat them in the beginning of the year, sure. I think that could still happen, but the Ravens don't end 8 and 9 without just all of these fuck ups for them. So now you you have a team now drafting 14 who honestly, talent wise, is still a top 7 talent team. That's dangerous.
20s.
Yeah, I think they take best player available that also fits need here. You get that combination, and Jermaine Johnson falls to them like
I don't
butter
think they
on
really
toast
can
here.
go
It's
wrong
perfect.
with any
Yeah,
pick they go at this position.
I think interior D line, edge, cornerback. You grab one of those 3.
Make it easy for them because they can actually sit back and it's not going to be like, all right, if we don't do this, then we're, you know what I mean? Like whatever direction they go, it's going to be a solid pick in my opinion. Whether it's Jordan Davis or Jermaine Johnson.
And before you pick next lane, I want to bring up something here because I'm looking at the at the draft and the way this is falling, and I think there's a couple key things, and I think this is where I personally had a trade going on, and I think could be a key trade moment in the draft because we got 5 picks and the Eagles hold 3 of them.
Yep,
Okay?
I think the Eagles move once.
Now I do think the Eagles move. I think this is, in my opinion, I think the Chiefs are going to move up with one of these picks to get their Tyreek Hill replacement, especially now that Garrett Wilson has fallen. However, I think the Eagles also want a wide receiver. It may not be one of their major needs, but we know that they tried to get Ridley before he was suspended. So we know that wide receiver is at the forefront of their mind here. So
Smith needs a partner.
Eagles have back-to-back picks here.
Can I make them both?
Yeah, I don't care. But question for you guys: let's just say hypothetically the Chiefs are calling the Eagles right now and they want to move up. Do the Eagles say we'll give you the 16, but we're taking Garrett Wilson? You can, or do they say, you know what, we'll get the little extra capital out of you. You can have Wilson, and we'll take
the 16.
Yeah. So how does this play out, or do the Eagles just stay pat and take both these picks here?
Here's my thing here. I think the Chiefs, they definitely have a plan. I think the way that this draft is going right now, we see 2 wide receivers who I don't think are on their radar so much. They have their big bodies. I think you want one of the speed guys. You need Olave, Williams, or Wilson, and they're all 3 available here. So in a draft where maybe Wilson already falls, and you're looking at like Williams here, I think they trade for 15. But in this draft here, I honestly the way it's playing out for us, I would say the Chiefs stay pat and the Eagles keep their picks, and maybe we see some activity at 19, depending.
I think honestly the biggest receiver on our board, being a Chiefs fan, would be Jameson Williams. But I also was just going to mention though too, we need to we kind of in a sense need to hold our draft capital and work on defense a lot. So I think if we do go wide out, I think we might go Sky Moore later on.
That's fair.
Because while I see wide out being the biggest drop off in talent from last year to next year, it's still
and we had not crazy big splashes, but like Corey Coleman, we still have Josh Gordon, McCole Hardman is finally going to be able to kind of take that next step.
You guys just got MVS too.
Yeah, and that's like. We have and Juju.
Don't forget about Juju.
Like we have a very intriguing.
Anytime you have a team that has 3 first-round picks within 5 picks,
you would think they might.
There's probably going to be some activity, but I could be wrong too. They could just capitalize on all 3 of them.
I mean, they're still a playoff team who's once again on that cusp of success. So
that was very impressive, especially for Sirianni to take that team to the playoffs. Yeah, it hurts in the second year, but
on the clock.
Legals. I think. Consensus, we take Garrett Wilson first.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I actually, with the 16th pick, we're going to hold on to it and take Devontae Wyatt.
Wyatt over Davis in this defense.
Actually, you know what? You're right, because I was just raving about him. He's still on the board.
I just heard Cole click the draft button.
I did too. I apologize. But because I was raving about Jordan Davis earlier, and just in my mind, he was off the board. So
that's the same thing that happened to me with Johnson.
I apologize. Yeah, that was a brain fart. I apologize.
So why don't
it has been submitted.
It's been submitted. Why don't you go ahead and
for the 5th time?
Write down both picks and why you have the Eagles taking.
Well, obviously, in my sole position, so my belief is that they don't have a true number one. Devontae Smith should pan out to be, but he's kind of pending. He's a different type of body for wideout as well. Kind of a little bit smaller like a Tyreek, but
he's an elite route runner.
runner.
He's
And-
like a bigger Jerry Jeudy.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
His hands are phenomenal. But I think just adding that speed aspect and another target in Garrett Wilson, obviously, just to open up that offense a little bit more. They have a great offensive line, and they have a great running back committee. So just add another target for him to throw at. They still have Goddard.
Yep.
And then Jordan Davis, I think if he actually does fall this far in the draft, I think that's an absolute steal. And just to have him, because they signed Cox back on a 1 year, right?
Yep.
So you bring him in that locker room, and you got Cox to kind of help guide him in his first year or so, to kind of help ruffle those feathers and guide him in the right direction.
Absolutely.
That's a Hall of Famer right there, in my opinion. So kind of have him show Jordan Davis the ropes a little bit.
I think just with the talent, I mean, Jordan Davis goes up there with Adrian Peterson, Calvin Johnson, your legendary Bo Jackson, legendary combines. This man is 350, and he ran the same 40-yard dash as Kenny fucking Pickett did.
If he goes to Philly,
A guy who's considered a fairly mobile quarterback. He has 125 pounds on him.
it's fucking stupid.
This man's like, what, 37-inch vertical?
Yeah.
Like the shuttle, like he's just freak athlete, and it's just clear that Georgia's defensive line. He would have had bigger numbers anywhere else, but that's why they were so dominant. It's just stupid
They all
talent.
mesh so well together.
I agree with both these picks. I think in multiple mocks of mine, I have some sort of variation of Wilson Davis
I was just
or
gonna
Wilson
say,
Wyatt going to the Eagles at some point. So this fits that mold.
Perfect. Yeah. No,
Maybe I had a little bit of a hot take here when I was doing my draft, but I had Andrew Booth going at 16, but I also had some other players taken before him that weren't available. So.
I hear you.
Yep.
Booth, that's another interesting one too, because he's a hell of a corner as well.
Yeah.
All right, boys. On the clock is the San Diego Super Siglins.
Yeah.
Devonta Wyatt.
Wyatt goes here. So you keep building a strength. I see him either build the strength.
I see them going. I know their biggest.
I
thing is
could go
having
tackle.
That's kind of because Justin Herbert, just being able to give him more protection.
I feel like they've addressed their offensive line enough. I had them going
defense.
Sorry. No, I did have tackle one here. I had
Penning, yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm saying
Penning.
Penning's still on the board. He's
I could see Wyatt, though. Wyatt's a better talent.
Yep.
And so I think if you're the Chargers, once again,
Take
your
the best.
win now, take the best
Yes.
player available.
Especially with all the new firepower that the offenses in the divisions have added.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty
vice
needed.
versa though. Oh, I guess it was a Charger that.
Well, I think you see every team adding the corners,
Yeah.
cornerback, quarterback, wide receiver, edge.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously you guys added quarterback. We had an edge and a wide receiver. Chargers, they added Khalil Mack. They added the cornerback there.
Yep.
Everybody's doing the outside.
Yep.
The pass game, like the key components of the passing game, and I think here, not only that, but Devontae Wyatt helps you as a pass rush from the inside, but also they were horrendous against the run last year. Josh Jacobs carved him up 8 time away in that last game, allowed his twin, and I think that's the biggest need. Either Jordan Davis or Wyatt is a huge option here.
Sure.
If they're both taken, though, I could see Penning actually, but the more I kind of get into mock season, the more I
Like you
flip
say, yeah,
over
kinda what's
away
best
from
for-
tackle.
What's best on the board?
Yeah, because, I don't know. They still have us 2. They can probably find someone in the second round.
Yeah, no.
Scary next year.
Oh yeah.
But maybe this is just
For
my
the
take.
6 games, they're all
With-
healthy together.
With how our draft is falling and the acquisitions the Chargers have made in the offseason, I think they probably would have went corner here because I think that's their biggest defensive need right now.
They just got J.C. Jackson.
Oh yeah, they did, didn't they?
And they still have Asante Samuel Jr.
And Asante
like-
Samuel
I
Jr.,
forgot they-
Yeah.
Derwin
Yeah,
Yeah,
James.
Derwin
Back
James.
that
Yeah.
ass up. Back that
Yeah.
ass up. I forgot they
Yeah,
got
I was like
Jackson.
JC took away because corner
bad,
was a
my
huge
bad.
pick before free agency for me.
There's
Like
a
it
lot
would
of
have been
things that we
tackle or
forgot
corner.
about,
But
but
Yeah.
don't worry.
There was so many offseason moves. I completely
There
forgot.
really
about
was.
yeah,
Jackson
JC's
was
not
the
even like a
Chargers.
top 5 move, and like
Yeah.
any other offseason, that's a
Yeah.
headliner.
No,
So
Yep.
most
Yeah.
definitely, that's a huge splash.
Speaking of somebody that'll probably be picking in the top 5 next year, Cole, you got the Saints.
the Saints, yeah, I think the Saints would be. I think the Saints definitely can be. Yeah.
Oh, I love
I don't know what you're talking about. You got a quarterback who's proven he can't win a Super Bowl without a
I wasn't
defense.
talking
So
Yes, I love it.
I wasn't even
for a
second- What was
I
that
thought
shit
you were.
for?
show
I-
show
for a
show of
second, I
hands
thought
whose
you-
teams all made the playoffs last year. Thank you.
I
Alrighty
wasn't
then.
At first,
Yeah.
I thought you were taking a Raiders jab, but then you
That
said
wasn't,
Saints.
it
It
was
was
a
the Saints.
Saints
I
jab.
feel you.
I knew it was a Saints jab, but he's been talking shit in the
That's
Liberty
the-
in the Liberty
dude,
group
the
chat. So
fucking-
yeah, the
you're
Liberty
right,
Super
you're
Horse. Yeah,
right.
he's been talking shit about the
All the
Raiders.
events
You're
that have
right.
happened
Took
since
that-
the Raiders last
That was
fucking
my
that
passion
shit
project.
had
Yep.
me
I was like, correction, things that have happened since I last felt real
The
happiness.
original Motorola Razr came out before after the Raiders won their last round.
Oh, I know.
Anyways, cool, Saints.
I'm with the Saints here.
What you got, brother?
And so this one's interesting because you get Jameis back, so I don't think quarterback is their first round need, and especially where quarterbacks get taken ahead. If Kenny Pickett falls here, I can maybe see them doing that, but I don't have a quarterback ranked that high, and honestly, this worked out perfect for them. They need a tackle, and I have someone ahead of Trevor Penning, and I'm surprised even the Chargers didn't take this guy. Charles Cross goes.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right,
Cross
yeah.
your fucking fingers
Yep.
because he's going, and I think Cross for me
Armstead,
originally,
too.
he still could go top 10 if the tackles, if Neal and Icky fall high. Do not rule out a team like the Panthers or even the Seahawks taking Cross.
True.
I think Cross could go, but he could also drop.
I have Charles Cross going number 6 to the Panthers.
Yep, like
I seriously do.
But if he falls past 9, he drops.
And here's my take. I love this pick for them because Cross is a dominant offensive tackle. I'm the stats guy. I just bring up a bunch of metrics. But last year he only allowed 16 pressures on 719 snaps.
Yep.
And that is incredible. And you gotta
In
look
the
at,
SEC.
You look at their situation. They lost out on the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. They're kind of banking on Jameson to keep them alive. And
They
Jameis,
lost
sorry.
Armstead too.
And what happened to Jameis last year? Tore his ACL. You
Yep.
got to keep. If you don't keep him protected, who do you fall back on? Andy Dalton. Because they've already moved on from
If not Ian
Taysom
Book.
Hill. So
Taysom Hill's gonna be a tight end.
Tight end.
he's
Yeah.
a tight end now, and so I think that protecting him is going to be
Their
their
biggest.
number one objective in the draft this year. And I think that Charles Cross, no matter where they end up at quarterback in the next,
I was
few
just going to
years,
say
that's
that
gonna be
that
their-
leaves them. They have their offensive line.
Yep.
At least whoever they bring in, they'll feel comfortable with that.
Exactly.
They'll feel
So,
comfortable
yep.
with their line.
Yeah. That's why I was
I love the
surprised
pick.
Sigland didn't take him
Love
out
the pick.
offensive tackle, but considering he already did an entire draft and is just following that now, didn't really see who was available there, did you, bud? Because I was shutting the fuck up for it too, because I'm like I'm the Saints pick, so I'm just gonna pick Cross here. But I was really surprised he didn't go to the Chargers. But
That's
it could
draft is
happen.
gonna be
It could
so
happen.
I
interesting,
just
man.
feel like with everything that they need, like one of their biggest weaknesses, interior defensive linemen.
They
and
still
if
do
they
need-
get someone that helps
They get,
stop that. That's only gonna help out. Like what?
Didn't they get Sebastian Joseph Day though?
I still don't think he's like a huge name. Like he's good, but he's not great.
I think he's big enough to where they focus elsewhere because they just don't have a
At
tackle.
least someone that can
Yeah.
produce enough to kind of hold them off until further notice.
But next pick here, let's see
Eagles at
where do we go
19.
with the Eagles? Yep.
I know we were talking earlier. You said if you saw the Chiefs trading up for Jamison Williams, you'd
It
see it
might
more
be
at
right here.
19.
Should
do
we?
they do that, or do they stand pat and go for like a Sky Moore later on?
You know what? I think actually.
Well, we
still
I'm
have-
so
we still
I'm
have-
gonna
Packers.
We still have Olave on the.
I'm
board.
gonna propose this trade for you, gentlemen, okay? Because of where the draft falls and where this realistically calls. Eagles call, or the Chiefs call the Eagles, and they say, "Hey, we'll give you, and let's build this trade right
Andy
now,
sweetens
and
up
we'll
the front
see
office like he
if this
used to.
does." Yep. So we'll go with the Chiefs first, making an offer to the Eagles, and they'll say, "Hey, we just got this 29th pick. We're fine with our pick at 30, but we'll give you our higher pick. We will give you the second round that we also got from the Dolphins, and then we'll throw in a fourth as well."
I don't
No.
see us.
I
doing
don't.
that.
I don't
Maybe,
see that.
or
That's-
just
that's
a
too
two,
much.
just a two.
I honestly
think
think
the
that the
Eagles are gonna
Chiefs.
sell
I
high.
honestly think the Chiefs are going to be able to steal Jamison Wilson with the 29th pick.
Williams.
I have no way he falls past the Packers. Absolutely not. The Packers are going to take him.
If
if
The
he-
Packers are going to take Olave.
I think Olave. Well, because when are they up though? Yeah,
I guess
they're still.
three picks.
3 picks.
This is where I
So
have
the-
Garrett Wilson
do the-
going.
Do the Packers make a jump right here to try to secure?
Here's the
first?
question here, because I'm making the pick. Do we do a trade here?
I would say
That's
no.
the question.
I think where Nick Sirianni is with that offense and that team, like he needs to get the best talent available to build it up. And they were going in the right direction, and then it all fell. So if you can add 3 top 20 players in this draft to help your team out, I think you do that.
Okay, so no trade.
It depends on how desperate the Packers are because I don't think they would have traded Devontae Adams if they weren't willing to get.
To know, I feel it to get a top wideout, obviously.
I don't think they're going to get someone that they're not going to have for the first 4 weeks of the season either.
They could trade up and take Olave right here because you got
That's
two other.
where
Wide,
I'm-
here's the thing: you got another wide receiver needy team in the Patriots that pick ahead of the Packers. So
And Mac Jones needs.
that's
After
my
Parker,
big-
they
I
don't
think-
go. They don't go wide receiver.
Yeah,
I
they
want
don't
to
go
trade
wide
for
receiver
Parker.
after Parker, and I also think losing J.C. Jackson, your secondary, is now your biggest need when it used to be linebacker.
So no
Fine,
trade.
No trade. Let's stay.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, now my question here is, I'll be honest with you guys, it comes down to a couple of players for me. It comes down to linebacker and cornerback.
Yep.
So I think, honestly, you've addressed your
No, they
interior
need the
defensive
defense,
line.
whatever they
You've
do.
addressed your wide receiver.
I've got
Here,
what I would pick, yeah.
I almost want to go Karlaftis but I think with addressing Jordan Davis and you bringing back some edge rushers there, honestly, I see Andrew Booth Jr. going here at cornerback next to Darius Slay.
I was actually between Booth and Devin Lloyd, but
Yep, I think
Lloyd's kind of who I was thinking here. But
I would just see, because of pass defense being a bigger need, Nakobe Dean being a better fit in that scheme. Because you have a very versatile defense that switches back from the 3-4 and the 4-3. I think getting a pass protection linebacker like Nakobe Dean, who's just a little bit better in that situation, because you're already making investments like Jordan Davis, that's where I see Andrew Booth here.
Okay.
And Nakobe Dean kind of be in the debate, but
So,
still,
I mean,
Lloyd's in that conversation too.
I like it because if you've addressed your defensive line with Jordan Davis, you can go back into the secondary and address your corner situation. I can see. I like both picks, so whichever route you go,
Yeah, that's
I think they're
so. Yeah, I slated Booth in, so
Okay,
we'll
Andrew
slate Booth
Booth.
in. Yep,
Andrew Booth Jr. Put some respect on that name. He's a junior.
some respect.
Respect these.
All right, Siggy boy,
New York Giants on the clock.
number 20. Da-na-na, da-na-na.
And the Lloyd.
So it'd be so hard if you're following along.
No, I'm
The
just
rest of
looking at my
class.
board.
You should have seen his eyes got all fuck, what do I do now?
Well, for the Giants here, you have Tyler Linderbaum, Chris Olave, Nakobe Dean, Jamison Williams, George Karlaftis, Trevor Penning, Kyer Elam, and Devin Lloyd available in just like the next 8-9 top picks there. We also have guys
I think
like-
Trevor Penning is what you need to protect Danny
Penning,
Dimes.
yes,
If you're gonna,
And
if
Saquon's
Dable's
people
coming
that
in there
he-
saying
that
he
boy
wants to
needs
give Danny
resurrect.
Jones the best chance is protecting him. So we'll take Trevor Penning with the 20th pick.
That's a good pick.
Also, well, I guess right now they haven't traded him, but if they trade Bradbury, I think, yeah, they probably either go line to protect
or corner.
or maybe a corner to try and.
Their offensive line, I think, is their biggest need right now.
No, I
based
agree.
on After the,
Well, Dimes and then
Yeah.
Saquon's. Like, their offense has potential. They just need to be able. Saquon's,
love
baby.
it.
They
Oh,
could also
well-
get Kenny Galladay to do something.
Well, the
Well,
problem
they need time to throw, so that is pick makes sense.
The problem with Bradbury is I think a lot of him getting traded depended on him getting traded before free agency started, because once March 17th kicked, his contract became guaranteed. So the Giants
That's a
are
big
going to
change in
have
their
to.
structure.
The Giants probably, the reason a trade didn't happen ahead of time is they wanted too much capital. So if no one was willing to offer them that now,
Well, now it kinda
beforehand,
fucks them.
now that they're going to have to eat a large portion of his contract, what do you think you're going to have to offer? First for him, for them to eat $20 million? No, I don't think he goes anywhere now. Next off season, sure, maybe
Yeah,
once the
he's kinda off
season
the board.
starts, or maybe post June 1, but it is a possibility. But dude, his contract became, I think, 70% guaranteed, and then it becomes fully guaranteed once he starts the year. So, and he makes all of that money. Plus there's like some incentive. So I just, for
I still
cap
feel
reasons,
like KC to kind of sneak in.
Yeah.
For him, honestly.
like I said, you're just gonna have to offer
Yeah, no.
his. It's
Last-
not Amari where you're
last from what
stealing.
Last from what I read, it was like it sounded like about a third was kind of the general consensus on it, but I think he's
'Cause
still
of contract numbers.
The Raiders were doing their work on Bradbury too,
No,
because I think both
he's-
of us
I think
were.
Quite a bit
So
of
are the
people
Colts.
been
Colts
kinda
need a corner too.
And someone to team up with Kenny Moore would be huge.
They need help everywhere.
Now it's Rocky Sin City.
Yannick Ngakoue will be just fine.
Oh yeah, you guys got a baller. I love Yannick, but Chandler's a small upgrade over him, so I'll take that. And I think he's a better mentor for Max. I think that's what we're looking at here. Yannick was a buddy. Now you're looking at like Batman and Robin. You get someone to teach Max Crosby those little nuances. But let's move on to you, my boy. We gotta hurry up here. I know you guys got some
What do we
some
got for next?
activities, but we got the Patties at 21 here, fresh off the Devontae Parker trade. So I
Okay,
want to
so-
bring that one up because what do you guys think that means for wide receiver need? Because they've whiffed on wide receiver a couple times in the past couple of years.
They have,
Well,
what
you
was
gotta
it,
remember
Neil
they-
McKeel
And-
here, he was the big one.
Yep.
Devin Lloyd's still on the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yep.
So Anna Kobe Dean, a lot of good players.
With the Parker trade, I think they shift their focus to defense.
Okay.
Obviously losing J.C. Jackson, and they also lost. Wasn't a big name out of Michigan.
Winovich?
Yes.
Yeah, because they got Mac Wilson back from the Browns
they
for
got
him.
Mac. All right, never mind. They say Mac.
So they moved a little bit more inside, but I still think Mac is a off-ball linebacker.
Is Booth? Where did we put Booth?
Booth went to the Jets.
Yep, Booth, but we still have Kyrie Elam, Kyler Gordon, Roger McCreary, Tariq Woolen.
Eagles.
Yeah. Like on the board as far as potential round one goes.
Yeah, this is kind of a tough one. No, I feel, I was just trying to look over this trends. Doesn't it still use? Oh, Karloftis.
That's why I'd go too.
Karloftis.
Yep.
I think he would.
He's a
thrive
Belichick
under,
guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say
He is.
Billy
High
would,
motor.
He would.
High motor needs polish as far as skills work, and
We
don't know.
won't say the silent part out loud.
and he's really white. and he's really white.
Extremely white.
Hold on. Here, I gotta make. Yeah, so I think George Karloftis is gonna come in the system and be a good player right off the bat.
That's a
I
great
think he's gonna
Bill
be.
Belichick.
He's gonna put in a great effort. I think he's a hardworking player. He's got the intangibles. He comes from a great family. He's white. I didn't say that.
He's right. Yeah, I didn't say that.
I just I think we're just gonna do this. Don't ask any McDaniel's questions. Thank you.
Just don't ask me.
I love it. I love it.
There's the hoodie for you boys. I even rolled the sleeves
Yeah,
up
the
too. I
whole
even had the
nine,
sleeves
yeah.
rolled up and everything.
You ever heard his son talk?
Oh,
Is the same mannerisms,
Yeah.
everything to it.
but have you ever seen his son on TV though? Yeah.
Yeah, Karloftis, the Patriots.
All right, Jay's time to pack it on in.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll say is this where Olave goes?
No.
No.
No. I've been back and
Been
forth
divin.
between these two, and I'm gonna go Jameson Williams.
You're gonna go Jameson?
Williams is the wide receiver one if he doesn't get hurt.
He is, yeah. They need somebody with. I mean, both these guys are similar, but you got to look at what they both did on the field when they're healthy. And I love Olave, but I mean, Jameson Williams put up 1,600 yards last year, 20 yards per catch. He's got the speed, the agility, the separation. He edges out Olave for me as far as what he represents for potential down the road, especially to Aaron Rodgers. And I think that we could easily be looking at Devontae Adams 2.0 with Rodgers up there. And
Yeah, and I think
and they save a lot of money doing it.
an interesting thing here because we have it down to Olave and Williams, and ideally this was actually the debate at Ohio State year before last, and they went with Olave. Olave was their wide receiver 2 almost 3 years straight, and I think I would put Williams ahead of Olave prospect-wise too because Williams went to Alabama and broke out of that role of that guy in a five-star program. We are talking 6 stars. Let's just say 6 stars. A guy at a 6-star program who broke out and actually made his talent known. Olave just floated. And while he's a great player and everything, the fact that he was always a wide receiver 2 to different guys, for me, would put Williams above. I still think he's great talent. I think he's probably the best to slot in next to a superstar and be the best wide receiver 2.
Yep.
But I would agree with Williams here. What do you think, Siggy?
You can't go wrong either way, in my opinion.
I just think he wants that bigger body. Rodgers historically hasn't had great success with the smaller receivers. They generally get shipped out of Green Bay quicker than they were there.
Yeah.
So with that, I just think Olave has the size and the height and the speed
The one thing I do, the reason
to
why
be there with him.
I like Olave a little bit more is because we all know Rodgers is obviously just signed a 5-year, but he's at the end of his career.
And it's a day one availability.
That's what I'm saying. Jameson, it's more of a long haul. You know what you're going to get in the long run. It's more potential, higher ceiling.
Well,
but I think
normally
Olave's
the
going to
Packers don't even draft
drive.
a wide
Well, that's what I'm
receiver
saying.
at
So
all.
that's what I'm saying. So in order,
Yeah.
that would be a completely uncharacteristic.
The
Here's
purge-
thing, boys, the Packers picking 3 more picks. They could get both. I mean, it's possible.
No, in all reality,
Yeah.
it is. But I don't think the Chiefs will let that happen. I think if they go with one of those guys,
Well, I think if they get a receiver,
then we might make that. We'll see though.
I think for the Packers, they use the Raiders pick to get a receiver. They use a pick to replace Darius Smith, and then they use the Raiders pick to grab another receiver like Sky Moore.
Yeah, I don't think Sky Moore makes it to
Second
their
round.
50, in the 50s, but with how deep, here's my big board right now on TDN is like 141 deep, and here's all the receivers I have right now. I have Chris Olave, that's still on the board, by the way. Chris Olave, Sky Moore, Jahan Dotson, Christian Watson, Wandale Robinson, John Mechie III, David Bell, Alec Pierce, George Pickens, Justin Ross, Calvin Austin III, Khalil Shakur, Romeo Doubs. That's just in the top 100 on my big board, and then I also have Jalen Tolbert, Bayless Jones Jr., Kyle Phillips, and Tyquan Thornton from Baylor, all in the top 135. So top 4-round grades there in which the Packers have capital. There's a lot more for receiver there. I don't see him doubling down in round 1, but here with the
They go with
Devontae
one of
pick,
those,
you
yeah.
have to. You have to. Now, Jace,
Yep.
freezing cold to scorching hot. We have the Arizona Cardinals on the clock with the 23rd overall pick in the 2022 draft.
I think the Cardinals go into this with offensive line as their biggest need. They need to protect Kyler. Kyler
Tired of
is
seeing
getting
his
rushed
little
all
ass
the
run
time.
around.
He is getting frustrated with the franchise.
Yep.
They got Rondale Moore from last year.
Sure.
They still have DeAndre Hopkins. They went out and got what's his name?
They
out of
still have
the
James
Eagles,
Conner
tight end, one
and
night. You know,
Ertz.
Ertz, they got
Then they
Ertz.
re-signed Ertz.
Yeah, so they got they've
Yeah, Max Williams is coming back
Yep.
from an injury.
So he has his weapons. He needs his protection. I think they go
Mad
with
Max.
the best
Love that
center
guy.
in the draft right now with Tyler Linderbaum.
And I'll say the best center I've seen in the past 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Creed
here-
Humphrey.
mind-blowing thing that when I was looking into
Better.
See how he produces at the NFL
Linderbaum.
level.
Linderbaum played 3 years. He took 2,300 snaps and only allowed 2 sacks.
Yep.
I mean, the dude is a freak. 2 sacks, 6 hits, and 11 pressures in 3 years.
The only-
that is insane.
The only question I have with Linderbaum is scheme fit. You brought up Creed Humphrey. I think Creed Humphrey's transition was so successful because he just went straight there. He went straight from spread to spread. You know what I mean? I love Tyler Linderbaum. He's my number 9 prospect.
Yeah.
And sorry to cut you there. Like
You're
I said,
good.
the only thing I wanted to bring up here is just the only thing I would question. I love this pick. I'd give it an A. The only thing that keeps the plus off there for me would just be scheme fit. You're going from a very pro-style offense in Iowa and a guy who, I mean, for fuck's sake, he beat Tristan Wirfs in the wrestling championship.
Yeah.
He is a Midwest lineman.
Yeah.
And it's just not a perfect scheme fit. I don't question him in a spread. He's an undersized center. So I think he actually fits better in this type of scheme. It's just experience. It's
Different type of fit, yeah.
it's a light yellow flag. It's not even orange or
How's
red.
he going to transition?
How is
Yep.
it gonna
Yeah, how is he going to transition? Only minor question I
get
have.
that.
Other than that, it's an A pick for me.
I get that.
I like it.
I love it, Jace. I love it.
I love it.
Love it and
I
love
want
Alright.
some more of
I
it.
guess the boys, huh?
You got the boys. The boys are back in town.
Boys
What you
are back
got?
in town.
Oh,
What do we got? No, you're good. I'm gonna get you your. Oh shit! Well, they did just lose Collins too, huh?
Collins.
Yeah,
Oh
Collins,
God.
yeah.
So let's count the offseason for these boys. Lael Collins, Randy Gregory, Amari Cooper, Cedric Wilson is gone. Like
They've lost a lot.
Did Collins even play last year though?
Lael Collins a little bit, yeah. I mean,
I thought he was out
I think
most
they
of
go
the year
offensive
for
line.
like dispute or whatever.
I would
Personal
almost think so. I
reasons.
think you gotta protect that, dude.
Yeah, he's been getting hurt every year.
I would say go check on me. Yeah,
Is your tackles available?
probably do Bernard.
That's kind of where I was thinking too. But
Zion's
he's
nice
available
too. Zion's kind of a low key.
Yep.
Zion is ahead of me. Is ahead of
Is he?
Green for me.
Is he?
Agreed.
I'd probably go with Bernard, honestly.
Bernard Raymond.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It's just,
Yeah.
it's kind of a given.
Yeah.
They're always known for having a solid offensive line, so ship him in there, kind of fill that hole. I think they'll still be able to snag, like you mentioned earlier, with the wide receiver depth. I think they'll maybe attack that a little bit later, but they will have to attack their defense.
Yeah,
on
if we did a 2-round mock draft, we would be heavy on wide receiver in round 2. I can
Yeah.
tell you this already. I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
it's
I have
inevitable.
so many 30 to 70 grades on wide receivers that could jump up. All right, Thiglin, go break a table, buddy. You're up in Buffalo.
Brees Hall, I've been screaming it from the mountaintop
Fucking
since day
Christ,
one.
Why did I give him Buffalo?
Just had it all.
I've been screaming this since day one. The biggest thing Buffalo needs to get them over the hump is a true running back. And Brees Hall gives them that next dimension of game.
Running back doesn't go round 1 in my
Yeah, I
opinion,
had
but
Brees Hall going round 2, but I don't hate it. I
The
don't
only
hate it. I
reason
think
why
it
they
makes
reach
sense.
for Brees Hall is because he won't be there in the second round when they're up to pick.
They could always trade up.
Good. God. Is Devin Lloyd still on the board?
Yeah, he is.
yep.
It just baffles me. Anyways.
Well, honestly,
Well, in my actual, he's still not on the board.
I guess yeah, we'll shit on Siglin hour here. Let's do a turn, guys. So, what's your turn on why you hate this pick, Lane?
Shit up, Siglin in an hour.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sig.
Oh, I love it.
All right. Why do you hate this pick?
Because, well, running back is usually not ever the biggest difference maker between a championship team or not, in my opinion. Damian Williams. You want to reference Damian Williams?
I mean, just because one of your other players got injured, your running game still helped you get there. They have no running game.
Damian Williams was our number 1 all year. What are you talking about?
Do they have Zach Mosh, Josh Allen, Devin Singletary? Like, not that. I mean, it's not like critically weak. It just isn't impressive at the running back position.
Even we-
That's why I argue Brees Hall is like they have bigger needs. Like Brees is, it's a fantasy booking. Sure, it's like, oh, this would be a great pick if, but like, who says they can't turn around and get him if running back falls in
I
round
feel like
two?
there's a lot more talent.
And there's a lot of teams who don't have Brees number one.
There's
They have Kenneth
there's
Walker.
a lot more talent that they could go after that would be a little bit more effective, in my opinion.
All right,
Well,
Jace, your turn.
I'll
I'm
say
just
this:
kidding.
there's a couple of people
I'm not
on the
redoing the
NFL
draft, it's
network.
Brees.
I'll say this: there's a couple people on the NFL Network who have straight switched their tides and have started taking Brees at 25, like I've been doing all year long.
So that means it's gonna happen.
So you can always trust the NFL
That's
Network.
right. I do not hate the pick. I do think that
Boo, Jace, boo.
in their offense, running backs their biggest need, and if they want to keep building around Josh Allen and focus on what's been getting them to where they're at, then there you go. Just add another piece, add another
Fuck
dimension.
that. If I'm,
Do I think they're going to take
that
Brees Hall?
defense.
Absolutely not. No,
I
I would
would-
have taken Devin Lloyd here, but I think
You also flossed that defense in 13
if you're
seconds,
looking
too,
in
so
the-
you're biased.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
but
you need to stack that
if we
defense.
step back and say, is it in the range of outcomes that they could take Brees
Yes.
Hall?
It's
Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
possibility.
That's why I'm saying I don't hate the pick. I think it could happen. So
I just hate it because Siglin made it, that's all.
I
No, I mean,
think- I
it's
think
been
if
every
they
mock
actually-
draft he puts
I don't
Brees
know.
Hall here.
speaking of Siglin's favorite teams, Titans are up on the clock.
Yeah, I thought that was Duval.
Duval.
Oh.
You can find out again if you want.
Oh, please. I'll return it this time, and trust me, you won't eat it as good as I
Fucking
did.
chill out. Put your little fucking Brees Hall nut away. Jesus Christ. On to
Yeah,
the
we're
next pick.
we're past it. Yep. So this one here, I think someone just went to the Raiders that they missed for injury last year. I think Jayon Brown was a bigger part of that defense in 2020 than anybody gave him credit for, as a pass coverage primary linebacker who was also really good defending the run.
Yep.
I now see two linebackers on the board, but I see someone fitting this need perfectly. I see N'Kobe Dean going here because of the talent at wide receiver. In this draft class, you can double back and pick somebody. And we're gonna say that for a lot of teams here in the first round because they will.
Yep.
You'll see wide receiver go hard in the second round, but just like it did last year, in the second and third round, we saw a lot of guys going off
I
the
have
board.
Jacoby Dean going to the Titans as well.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect pick for what they need on defense. This gives you someone who can stop the run and is really good reading defensive lines, but primarily he's an athletic pass coverage linebacker.
Yep, and he's a good
Yeah, no,
I lost my train.
no, you're good.
I was reading.
Jesus
and
Christ,
lost
I'm the
my
one
train of
smoking
saying.
weed here,
Yep.
Jace. Come on, God. Speaking of, let me catch up to your level here. No, what do you think, Sega? What do you think about N'Kobe Dean here? I mean, obviously, I know you
I
like
have
N'Kobe. You're kind of back and forth.
I have a higher rating on him personally. I think where he goes is, I see him teaming up with Micah Parsons and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I think that adds a perfect dynamic for him. That was something they were missing last year. So with that being said, I do still have them taking a linebacker in my mock draft, but that linebacker's Christian Harris, just based on availability. But yeah, if they're able to get N'Kobe Dean at 26, I'm not happy as an AFC South fan.
No, yeah, I personally have him 17th on my big board, so grabbing him at 26 is a good value pick. Give it an A grade.
Great.
And then I'm going to double back. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have been quietly in chaos because this team now has had a quarterback retired, unretired, and they have had their head coach transition to a front office role and had their defensive coordinator take over. So this now becomes a very interesting team because you now have Byron Leftwich calling the plays on the offense, fully in control of the offense. Now Todd Bowles fully in control of the defense. Bruce Arians controlling the roster. Brady's back. You still have Kyle Trask. Godwin is back. I think Evans is back. You maybe still need a wide receiver here, but honestly, last year the biggest difference is their secondary was not the strength that it was in their title
Their
season.
defense took a step back for
Yep.
sure.
And so I think you get someone who stays in the same state here. You get someone who's versatile, can play multiple positions,
Really?
and has a pro pedigree. And I'm going with Kyrie Elam out of Florida.
Okay.
I like this pick for the Chiefs if he does reach down there, if he gets
falls.
down there. But unfortunately, in this draft, he doesn't.
I feel you.
So-
See, if we wouldn't have reached so high on Andrew Booth, this is where I actually have him slotted now. I think he's the perfect person to team up with the rest of the with Carlton Davis and the rest of the young guys they have over there.
Last draft,
Sad.
you had Booth going like 10th or like 20th.
I
Like,
didn't
yeah.
have Booth on any of mine. Go check him.
You've been high on Booth though. You're the one who told me to start. You're the one who told me to start looking into fucking Booth.
He was also
Because
he was
I
never
started
big
to
on the
come
league
on him.
first, and now he is.
All right, just make sure you put on your turning signal before you switch lanes, Sig. All right. Yeah.
Go check my mock
Nah,
drafts. I
just-
don't even fucking have him drafted. Swear.
I'm not checking the mock drafts in the middle of this. I will be wrong here, okay? But you were all the one who told me about Andrew Booth.
No, I
I'm
did.
not wrong on.
I moved him up to my. He was my
How's
sixth
that?
corner on my board.
So,
Who are you?
back on the clock.
Yeah.
The way this draft has fallen, who do you think the Packers take at 28?
This is a reach. I doubt most of you guys really know who this is besides Cole because we've talked about him quite a lot, but it's our boy Moff.
I love Boy. He's 34th on my big board. My
I like
most
to call
recent.
him Boye Mafe.
Boye.
That rolls off the tongue better.
Yeah, Boy.
I think he's just the perfect replacement to fit in with Preston Smith, replace Darius Smith, and just gives them a young guy that they're gonna have for 4 to 5 years.
Well, and there's someone they drafted from the Big Ten a couple years ago that was a really raw prospect. I thought they reached on him, but he's kind of starting to work out in Rashawn Gary. And he's starting to play up to the first round status, I think. Bringing back Preston Smith, getting Boy Moff, who I agree with.
Yep.
I think it's a good pick here.
I don't know how you guys feel about this since the Chiefs have back-to-back.
I'll give it to Lane. Yeah, give it to Lane. Yeah, give him the Lane.
The Bengals, and then we can do a consensus for the Lions.
Yep.
That work?
Works for me.
All right, Lane. Your boys are on the clock, back-to-back.
Oh,
we
look
might
who's
be
on the
first
board,
ones.
though.
I know.
Look
yeah.
who's on the board.
Obviously,
Do you
if
do
that's
it?
The case,
I think Olave has to go here.
Olave
Has to.
go.
Yep.
Especially with the Tyreek pick, too. If you can replace him with someone who is slippery enough as a route runner next to Juju and Travis
Gonna go
Kelce.
Ojabo, actually.
David Ojabo, I like it.
That's
I don't
it's
think he
picked up
falls
traction.
without that Achilles.
No, and that's kind of that's us taking advantage of that.
Because he's not ready right away, but he's
But
ready
he's-
playoff time.
Exactly. So I think that's a good fit. And if we can snag Olave,
Yep. All right. I like both those picks. Those are good. In any other world right here, I would totally have the Bengals probably taking Zion Johnson to boost their offensive line, but no way. Devin Lloyd
Lloyd's
falling
still
down
on
to
the board,
31. Yeah, Bengals go Devin Lloyd.
if
here.
I didn't know our linebackers the
if-
way I do, I probably would have had him. But
If they were.
I can agree with Lloyd there. I think because what you're looking at here is while linebacker isn't a on paper weakness, they're not deep at linebacker, and I think last year they.
They get Osai back they'll finally be able to use Osai next year.
But he's a
Sam
pass
Hubbard,
rusher.
he's a pass rusher.
outside linebacker is what his position.
Yeah, I
is.
know, but he's more of a pass rusher. Osai projected in the draft as a 3-4 outside linebacker / 4-3 defensive end with some weight added to
You know
him.
how dangerous that division's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
They're going to need all the
Firepower.
defenses.
I think Devin Lloyd because he's good enough in the passing game, but he's an
Regardless, you can't-
absolute.
if
He's
he-
old school. He's a
fallen
Mike
way-
That's what I'm
linebacker.
saying.
He's
That's
fallen way too far.
Yeah, he might as well be Mike Lloyd.
That's
all right,
one of those
he's
if he
a
falls
old
to
school
your
Mike
left,
I could have even
linebacker.
seen the Bengals trading out of the first round with somebody that would have moved up right there and taken him. but
Taken
I've
him.
already picked
Hot
him,
take here. I could see the Raiders trading up at 31.
There
No.
it is.
Hey, hear it the fuck out. Hear me the fuck out. No. This is not a homer pick. Listen to me. As
hear
an
me out.
analyst. Listen to me as an analyst here. There has been a lot of heat on Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler trading back in the first round. A lot. Like, there's a lot of smoke that you can't look away from that fire now. Not saying it's going to happen, but like I said, in this world where this draft is falling here, where you have someone like Devin Lloyd and maybe want to add somebody to that Denzel Perryman, Divine Diablo. I don't think so with Jayon Brown. I don't think we would go Lloyd here. But just looking at the talent, having Zion Johnson still available, I think what I would do personally here, obviously, a little bit of homer bias, but I will say purely I would analyze this and say the Raiders could trade up for Zion Johnson. I think the Raiders could. We did a lot of work on him at the Senior Bowl. We went to his pro day too.
I don't think you'd need to trade up into the first round for him.
I don't, but we don't have a second or a third round. So I think if the Bengals were willing to sell low here and believe in their roster and believe in the depth of the draft, I could see that happening. But Lloyd's a good pick.
So we're on the last pick. I think we'll make a group consensus pick on this one. The Lions, there's quite a few needs. Quarterback, wide receiver, edge rusher, linebacker, defensive back. They got quite a bit they need right here. But there's different ways they can go about this. They
Yeah,
could
this
add
is
another
tricky.
wideout to help Goff. They could,
So they're up again in a
they
couple
could
of picks.
pick Sam Howell or another quarterback to sit behind Goff for a year or two and eventually take over. They could shift back over to their defense again. They could adjust their offensive line. Like, where do the Lions go here if you're Dan Campbell?
I think Dan Campbell goes and gets his guy named Desmond Ridder.
Honestly, even though he's not
You think they go
he's
quarterback?
not my number one quarterback here. And I'm torn on this, but if you put a gun to my head right now, Desmond Ridder would be my gut feeling pick because of Dan Campbell's a character guy, and I don't think anyone's come out as high character out of this draft process as Desmond Ridder. And you look at a guy who was a 4-year starter, consistent improvement in a moderately successful program because they were very successful in a medium division. So I'm going to say moderately successful. They made the college football playoffs this year, which doesn't happen as an outside Power 5 conference team.
Yep.
So I think Ridder, well, he doesn't make you, jump off the table. He doesn't, hit the top of the table with wood. I think he's a Dan Campbell guy. but I would also be open to what you guys think too.
Who did we
I also just think like with the fact of he was meeting with him at his pro days, he took him out after the combine. They had a lot of
Who do they have for guards?
meetings, pre-draft stuff, and then you got to remember they pick again in 2 more picks, so it's basically the board's theirs. You just got to hope you're not trying to
So
take
here's the
whatever
thing.
the Jags want.
Are we know
So and the Jags aren't going to need a quarterback, so you
maybe
could
they don't
easily
go
take him
quarterback.
pick 2 round 2.
Yeah.
You were very correct,
Yeah.
actually.
Question is, do you shock the world at the end of the first night?
No.
Because you have 24 hours between round 1 and round 2 to do something, and
I think that they can confidently know they're going into day 2 able to get a quarterback at
Okay.
the 2 spot if they need to.
so quarterback is not. So we're consensusing that
I
the
would
quarterback's
say no
not.
on quarterback because they have the second pick in day 2.
I'll jump on your guys' side for that one
I
too.
think
Like
they go
I'm
defense.
on the fence with that one. So like I said, gut feelings Ritter here, but if it's not Ritter, who is it then?
I say defensive position. Their offensive line's actually kind of low key. They're pretty much well established every other position. They don't need a tight end. They don't need any receivers. They don't need any running backs.
I like Lewis Seen.
And Jeff Okuda comes back this year.
Maybe is it Pittry?
Jalen Pittman.
Let's talk about this though here. With who's on the board still.
Yeah.
With
they
who's
were-
on the-
I was thinking about that.
With
just to
who's on
add
the board,
speed.
they invested in outside linebacker in Trey Flowers last year, and then they who's their other outside? They have 2 outside linebackers, but Yep.
Yep.
you're good. Love you.
Yes.
We but they have Alex Anzalone at their middle linebacker, who they paid on a 2-year contract, so he's on his final year. Yeah, I just know this because I recently started a Madden career where I am the middle linebacker for the Lions. So because I analyzed their roster and I saw that this is a need that they could be looking at, so Siggy, I'm gonna go with your boy Christian Harris is who I would pick.
I can see that too. I honestly, the more and more I scout it, I don't think Christian Harris makes it out of the first round. If he does, whoever takes him the second got a player.
Yeah, and honestly, with the safety and cornerback talent in the middle of the second round, and and looking at the third round too, I just think linebacker drops off because here's my linebacker rankings. You have Christian Harris at 30, then you have Darian Betters from Cincinnati at 62 for me, and then JoJo Domain out of Nebraska at 73, Shed Muma out of Wyoming at 76, Troy Anderson out of Montana State at 80, and then I have guys at 84, 86, and 88. So you're talking about very meaty. Like not a lot on the bread on the outside, but inside the sandwich, there's a lot of meat at linebacker. So here I just, I see Harris being the pick because there's just that talent drop after first round linebackers to guys who I have about a 3rd round grade on.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Christian Harris.
Yeah.
Let's lock it in. End the draft, boys.
Lock it in. There it is.
All right. Well, we have believe shit to get to and days to relax on, and
Legit, I have to shit.
me too.
Shit, I
I've
have to shit.
I've gotten through too much caffeine.
You got that saved in
I do.
Draft Network. All right,
Yep.
cool. There it is, boys. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It was a blast. Always love it.
And finally,